here's what we're gonna do.
Okay, I'm told that it's 4:30, so I would like to call the July meeting of the Kent Board of Selectmen to order, July 2nd, 2019, 4:30 in the afternoon. Welcome everybody who's here, and ask you to please stand and join us in the state of the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I do not have anything to add to this agenda. Do you agree? Okay, moving on, we have approval of some minutes. We have a special meeting at which we discussed streetscape, the building official, and the ongoing issue with Kent Village Housing for the Elderly, aka Templeton. Same thing on June 1st, and the regular on June 4th, and a special meeting on June 13th to create a subcommittee for filling a vacant, newly budgeted highway position, and that committee has a report for us later in this meeting. So, I'd make a motion to approve all four of those sets of minutes. Phil Swoop.
Well, I was at the May 24 meeting.
Okay.
I don't believe I was at any of the others.
All right.
So can we separate
Yep,
that one
all
out?
right. I would make a motion to approve the minutes of May 24th special meeting at which all three selectmen were in attendance.
Second that.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then I would move to approve B, C, and D
So moved.
together. Motion made and seconded. Jeff in absentia, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks for pointing that out, Jeff. Is there any oral communication from the audience that's not already on this agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to written. We have the usual staff reports from Donna Hayes, Land Use Administrator, and Leslie Ferris on senior activities. Do either of you have anything you want to point out or discuss, or make sure we... No? Okay.
There was an additional one as well added.
Yeah, we can get to that one. And at our last meeting, I believe it was our last meeting, Chris, I believe you asked Rick to produce a monthly report, which he has done. You have it before you. So Rick, I'll ask you the same thing. Do you want to elaborate on anything that you put down, especially?
No, unless you have any questions.
Okay, especially since it's your first one, a good one. On Mechanical Road, I had the pleasure of driving it after it was paved, its final coat the other day. It's great, drives nicely, and it still needs its finished edges and driveways and so forth. It's good. Sean Gilson, who's been at a number of our meetings,
Yeah.
is happy with the paving, but he's anxiously awaiting the completion of it as well.
And are we doing any plantings? You said it was sent to Mr. Gilson, no response at this point.
Right, that's where it stands right now.
And almost daily removal of debris, the beaver dam locations, are they going to continue, or do we trap them, or what happens?
No, I can't trap now unless they're a nuisance, and unless they're flooding the road, they're not considered a nuisance. During the winter season, we can have trappers come in.
Okay. And so, I see the next thing is chip sealing. So these are the roads that are on,
They got done.
they did get done. Oh, I'm sorry, so that's what they mean, they got done.
And you'll notice that all of those are in the same general vicinity of area of the town, so they're done. That's the way it's done every year.
Looks like no one,
Would like to have done more, but with the weather, I was lucky to get one day out of them.
That was all done in one day, all
Yeah.
these roads? Yeah. Are they coming back later in the summer?
He says he's got some time, but
Okay.
we'll see what
All right.
And just, I know in previous years that you've had an actual list of what was coming up and what was to be repaired going forward, almost like a capital plan type program. Is that something you can, at some point, rejuvenate? You probably have it, but if you you had something like that, I think that would be helpful in terms of this board being able to promulgate that to the different roads,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I think it's just my experience riding most of the back roads that there's considerable wear and tear and trying to keep up with it and knowing it must be just a brutal challenge for you.
This month has been, yeah.
But I think, you know, I don't get, Jeff and I don't get the phone calls, I'm sure Bruce gets the phone calls.
Yeah.
And things like just on Elizabeth Street where there's a,
I'm having the contractor do that, he said he's gonna be here probably middle to late next week.
yeah, no doubt you have this in control. I think what I'm personally looking for, and I think it would help the board, and specifically the person that sits in Bruce's seat, is to be able to have that answer by simply saying, yes, we're aware of it, and this is what the action we're taking, we're just waiting for X, Y, and Z. To be able to communicate that, I think is helpful, so, thank you.
That is often the case, not always, but often that's the case, I'm able to say that.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure you're in communication all the time,
Every day.
but I'm just saying that if Jeff's pulled aside or I'm pulled aside,
Yeah.
then we know. Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
Okay, very unusual, we have no new business to bring before this board today, so we move immediately to old business and streetscape. The only report there would be the newly created committee has met once. They ran into a problem with their second one because of their inexperience. It wasn't properly warned, and so the meeting had to be canceled, and they're working on when to meet next. They've thrown out 3 dates for next week and are hoping to meet with a gentleman from Malone and McBroom, which I spoke to today. But right now, the committee has met once, met for an hour and a half or so, and just basically got organized. John Johnson is the chairman.
Thank you.
And I believe Abigail Hanby Smith is much against her wishes, but is the secretary and has something to learn and is getting some help from some people with more experience.
Were you at the meeting?
I was at the meeting for the first half hour, and I started the meeting off to explain to them the warning and the way meetings were run and so forth, and then I had to leave to go to a different meeting.
How many members of the community showed up?
None. It was just the committee members.
Okay. Well, I hope people who are interested show up and add their comments where it counts.
Agreed.
Policy and procedure manual is on here, mainly Jeff at your request, not that you made such a request this month, but it's been on there for that reason.
It's, obviously, it's not been a productive month for me
No.
town-wise, so in the future we'll have more activity.
Okay. The park and rec job description, conversation with Leslie today. This is on here for the approval of a revised job description, which now does not include the segment on the park and rec director's responsibilities for the Monday and Wednesday lunch program. And you have such a document, Joyce?
Yes,
So it's exactly as the job
exactly the same,
description
just with the
was,
removal of
minus
that.
that removal. So that, if you recall, was a request made about a year ago by Park and Rec Commission. We asked them to wait because of the budgetary implications, and that's going to be taken over by Social Services, who is in the process of hiring a part-time individual that will hopefully take over those responsibilities ultimately. So I would make a motion to approve the newly revised Park and Rec Director's job description as described.
Second.
Any further discussion, or Leslie, did I?
Got it right.
We're okay?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Can I ask a question? Is the parking lot director not supposed to do any activities regarding seniors, or is it just
No, just
specifically
Monday,
lunch?
Wednesday.
Just
Oversight of the Monday, Wednesday
Monday,
lunch.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's it. The social services job description, assistant job description has been finalized, and the job has been advertised, and a number of applications have been submitted. Deadline
Last Friday.
was last Friday, and so we're in the process of formulating the procedure going forward as to interviewing and so forth.
It's on the agenda because you need to correct the motion that was made at the last meeting.
Oh, sorry.
To approve the job description, because it was contingent upon Jeff's approval, which you need to clarify whether or not he approved it, so you need to officially approve that job description.
Oh, okay, I didn't know we were entangled in that. I
Yeah.
did send some general comments back. I mean, it looked okay, I was
You did,
concerned.
yes.
I asked a question that I thought you might run by Lee about whether it adequately addressed issues of confidentiality as a job requirement. But I assume she addressed it, because
Yes.
she did reference the ethics control for her,
Yeah.
her job, right?
Yeah, and she's very, very conscious of the confidentiality, not so, for her it's a no-brainer, but for.
So if there were no changes as a result of the comments I tossed your way, then I'm fine with it.
Okay, so would you like another motion, Joyce? for
That's
this?
I would, thank you.
I would move to approve the job description for the newly created social services assistant.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thanks, Joyce, for the reminder. Okay, my report is as usual here, but I would like also to take this opportunity to inform you of the resignation of a member of our highway department who submitted a very short text of resignation 2 weeks ago, 20th of June, which we've gone through the necessary legal process using the advice of town attorney as to how to handle it, and that seems to be going along smoothly. So we actually have 2 positions to fill on the highway department, and since an ad had been placed a while before that, advertising an open position, the timing was quite fortuitous in that the committee, which we created, met and interviewed and has, as you'll notice down at the bottom of this agenda, I believe, I don't know, I haven't spoken to them, but I believe has a couple of recommendations for us to fill 2 positions rather than 1, because they were both identical positions, they're both CDL positions. Probably wouldn't have been possible, we would have had to re-advertise it, but they're both the same exact position.
Yeah, I have a question. If an employee resigned, you make it sound like is there a complication involved? Did they consult with the town attorney over?
Well, since the resignation was sent, I don't know, would you
It
mind?
was sent to me just in a text form.
In a 2-sentence text, I won't be,
Okay.
I quit, basically.
Okay.
It wasn't a formal letter.
Okay.
So we
So
needed
it's
to
just
know how to handle
documenting
it
that,
going
the
forward.
transaction.
Joyce did a nice job with that, and we got a letter that very day to the employee explaining our requirements for his termination.
Okay, so that's concluded?
It's concluded, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Here's my report. I think there's anything on there that will raise some questions, but I'm happy to answer them if there is. It's been a fairly quiet month.
What grant opportunities are you looking at?
There's another one that came forward through our COG. I don't have the exact name of it, but there was a letter sent out to all 21 towns asking if there was interest in it, and there was none, primarily because no one had large enough projects that they thought they could apply for. So they asked me about they'd read about our streetscape, and I said, yeah, does it qualify? Does the sidewalks qualify? And
Apologies.
the executive director of the COG looked into it, and he said it appears as though sidewalks do, and so he and I had a meeting here to discuss it, and he's still looking into one little piece as to whether it does qualify, so that's, when I find that out, I would propose that I'll bring it to you, but I would propose that we submit an application for additional funding for the streetscape. And it could be a large one.
And I'm sorry, I was distracted. The grant is from where?
I was afraid you'd ask that, and I didn't bring it with me.
Or is it federal or state?
It's state.
It's state.
It's state.
Hmm. Okay.
I can give you the info, I just don't have it here. And no one, what they, the reason Rick Lynn, our COG director, got involved is it's handled by the COGs throughout the state, and no one of our 21 towns has expressed an interest in applying for this one. So he said, your chances of getting it would be very good if you apply, because they have money that can only go to the towns of this COG. But there's still some question as to whether we're eligible, whether streetscape qualifies for it. But the question being, it will only fund new construction. So does the tearing out of old and then new construction qualify is the question. And he's trying to get an answer to that. It is new, but it's replacement of old, as opposed to creating new sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the issue that I haven't got an answer to yet.
And there's no sort of strategy just to apply for it and let them say no?
We could.
I mean, is it too expensive to?
No, it's doable, and I've done enough of these that it's doable, and let them decide, but he was to have an answer for me this week, and I just haven't heard from him, so we may have to.
Well, it's no reason not to pursue it, and
Sure.
if there was some conflict with, some overlap with our existing grants, could we apply it to new areas, and to extend it beyond the areas or even
That's what
outside
they
of the
like,
streets?
yes, they like that, yeah, so
So-
I'll have more
So
info.
continue on with that,
Yeah,
see where it goes.
very good.
And just lastly, you filled in the transfer station, and I know that because I saw you there.
Yeah.
And again, just going back to my concern, is your filling in just helping what we're already paying for, or are you covering for a body not showing up?
I'm covering for employees that have been unavailable due to medical issues.
Okay, so,
which-
well, again, I'll say, I think that's admirable of you to step forward. Next year at this time, you will not be, well, maybe you'll be at the transfer station, but you certainly won't be in the seat.
I'm a paid employee.
And so what I just want to make sure is for the budgetary purposes, that you're filling in isn't really just masking an issue there, a budgetary issue that we're going to have to look at.
Oh, no, not at all, not at all, no, it's.
Well, if you weren't there, would there have been a problem?
If I weren't there, at some occasions, if I wasn't there, we probably wouldn't have opened, because we should never open that facility with only one person. And it's hard to get somebody, A, that wants to work weekends, B, that wants to work very part-time, and C, wants to work for the salaries that we're offering.
And D wants to be the select person. No, I say it in jest, but I think what we're getting at is, if we're masking an issue there, we need to address the issue. And again, it's great that you're covering and wonderful, but you should not be, I don't believe that you should be the one filling in all the time.
Oh, it's not all the time.
Okay.
Lately it's been, because there's been some issues from both of our regular guys, but it's not all the time. Yeah,
I'd like to
and as I said previously when we discussed this, people really do forget about the transfer station. People really do like the opportunity to be able to talk to me about stuff, because 650 people use the facility on a given weekend. But I understand what you're saying. To be continued.
Okay.
Barbara has submitted two things. Her report is in your packet, as well as a new vendor list, which needs our approval.
She's not in, is she?
She's here.
So she starts out with revenue, and looks like we've got some pretty considerable revenue coming in beyond budget. And I'm just wondering what and where and how. Is it savings, looks like, from Board of Education?
I don't know if she details it here.
Primarily?
I'm assuming the actual-
Water?
Yeah, if you can. Because again, this speaks to the continuing issue we have year in and year out with, for one reason or another, we have strong revenue, whether it's,
What a terrible problem.
well, it's not a bad problem, obviously, but it also speaks to what and how we budget.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't figure this out.
Hi, Barbara.
Thanks.
Just looking at your report, Chris had a few questions.
I just, you just note positively that revenue is strong. And I'm just trying to figure out where exactly most of that's coming from. And on the second page, is it primarily due to expenditures or lack thereof on Board of Ed? Where am I
Well, the
finding,
revenue wouldn't be connected to that, the revenue is receipts that,
is receipt money?
that we've gotten. So it's tax collection, it's interest income, a couple of different items,
Tax collection above 90, what is it,
9.
99? So
Well,
there's,
some of it is back taxes,
I think it's back taxes, because I think she fell just shy of 99 this year.
there's some. I can send you the detail if you
yeah, I
need.
guess I'm more interested in, is this something that annually is, or is this just a, hey, wow, this year happens to be?
I think during my reports every month, if there's a revenue highlight, I give you that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to actually go back and punch up some detail to tell you what the driving forces were, but each month, whatever.
But your instincts say what?
Well, this is typical.
Okay,
We budget X amount of dollars as revenue for interest income. We've
Mhm.
exceeded that quite substantially this year. We've
Okay.
budget X amount of dollars for the community house, we've exceeded that. We've exceeded tax collection, what was budgeted, the 99% that was budgeted.
mm-hmm.
Back taxes, I believe there was a $4.90
$4.90
penalty we
collection.
got in there. Last year, I don't believe we budgeted any money at all from the state. We did receive some money from the state. So there's a couple of different
And
factors.
you think state's in here as well?
It is
this
in
year?
there, yes.
But we budgeted it, or we weren't anticipating it?
We didn't budget any money from the state last year other than town aid.
I'm sorry, last year's budget, got it. Mm-hmm.
Because this is, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
I got
already
it, I got
done
it,
this
I
year.
got it, I got it. I got it. Okay, well, that's all positive.
I'll stick around till you're done.
Uh, Just a question for you, Barbara, just to shift to the other. This is the proposed vendor list going forward for the
For
new
this
fiscal
year,
year.
yep.
So this isn't a new vendor list, this is our vendor list.
Well, what we do each year is we take off the vendors that haven't been used at all.
Yeah, we've done
And
that.
then any new vendors that have been added during the year, so that kind of keeps our vendor list at about 300, 350.
So that's what this list is. Some have been removed, some have been added over the course of the year just completed.
Yes.
And do you need action on this, or are you just informing us of this?
I
being the list?
prefer if you would accept it, because when we add new vendors, I ask you to approve them.
Yes, so
yeah.
they're included on the ones we've approved over the course of the year, they're included here.
Yes, so that's, your baseline where you're
Right.
starting, the vendor list for this fiscal year. The baseline.
Because you're not in any way asking us or expecting us to go through and look at each of these.
No,
At least you're
this was
hoping.
something that George wanted,
Okay,
and we just sort of kept with it.
okay.
Everything goes back to George, that's true.
Yeah, right.
And
The legacy.
if I may, just, I picked up a common thread of computer services seem to be over, is again, that's something we should just, obviously not next fiscal year, but the following, be mindful to see maybe that's increasing. Is that
You're
just-
back to my report?
I am sorry,
That
yes.
is report, yeah.
Okay. It depends, different things happen during the year. So, yeah, the town hall computer services were a little bit over this year.
But is that a trend, I guess is the question, and if it is a trend, I jump from you, the treasurer, to learn from
Well-
trend-wise what we can do for budgeting in departments.
It
And
gets
that's what I'm looking
budgeted to
at.
the best of our ability.
Well, no, that,
Trending, it is getting more expensive because I just received the bills and they
Okay.
are implementing increases, which actually I'm questioning because some of the increases were
This is
double
from-
digits.
From who? Joyce?
computer services.
This
So
is
you've
for
got-
IT?
Yes.
Okay.
So it is trending higher,
so I just think that's
So,
something we need
yeah.
to be mindful of
absolutely.
and be ready and prepared for.
Yep,
Well,
I
this
will.
isn't computers, this is computer services.
It's a combination of both in that one line, so it does include hardware, software, as well as services, so, when it comes time for budgeting next year, obviously I'll look at what we've spent and adjust it accordingly in my
That's
request.
kind of how we deal with all the major line items.
Absolutely,
It's gone up, is
Yep.
there a reason for it? We
Yes.
have to account for it, or was it a one-off incident?
And it's really truly worth noting that the whole computer services and computers used to be a real difficult issue in this building. And since we changed companies and Joyce has taken it over, it's in much better shape than it ever was before and has been for a while, despite all the issues.
Okay, thank you.
And actually, even an update on that, I think I've got on there that the registrars would be needing a budget transfer. And at this point, I don't think they will. They're actually gonna be able to cover their overages within their own budget.
Okay.
Because they didn't make it to,
And when will we be doing the transfers? We wait for a while, till
well,
August?
probably, yeah, because this is your meeting this month. Not, AP isn't even closed yet for
Right.
last fiscal year.
And rough idea, how much do we then end up with surplus, an idea? Not gonna be, I don't know. Not gonna press you for that. Just thought I'd ask. Okay?
Yep.
All right, so I would move to accept the proposed vendor list for fiscal year 20 as presented by the treasurer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Barbara.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
for all. Tax refunds, I have two. Treasurer, the tax collector could not be here today, so I'll just, let's see. Guess these are not stapled because you had to take them apart. Okay, so there are, I think there's three, there's one. There's a second one, and there's a third one. I would move to accept and approve
Are
the,
these for two different, for this, the exact same amount?
Mhm.
And the same,
There's two of every one.
yeah, there are always two of every one.
Okay.
Move to approve the tax refunds as submitted by the tax collector.
so moved.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. And then later, Leslie, can you tell us a little bit about the annual visit to Connecticut Recreation and Parks Association Summer Quarterly? This is your publication,
This is my,
or this is a visit?
the association, so they have quarterlies, obviously 4 times a year, so I went to the summer one in Glastonbury. It was on the active shooters / workplace violence, how to prepare and how to respond. So, there were 2 presenters who are very knowledgeable, have a lot of experience in this field. The one gentleman was actually at Sandy Hook the day of that shooting, so I did have a chance to talk to him one-on-one because I had some questions about what we should do at Emory. Anybody who knows anything about Emory, it's wide open and somebody should show up. So I did get some good advice. Obviously, I'm not gonna share all that on a public meeting, but you have my report. It definitely was a very worthwhile, and I did get some good advice and stuff that I have discussed with the camp staff and with the lifeguards. We do have a designated meeting place at Emory, and so it was well worth the time to go.
Very good.
Will we be talking about this at all at the next safety committee
We
meeting?
can, yeah.
Leslie's the head of our town safety committee.
So, yeah, we have a meeting next week, so
Thank you for going, thanks for the presentation.
thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, that brings us to the end and brings us to the proposed executive session. So I would move at this time to go into executive session and invite the highway subcommittee to join us, and that would be Rick Osborne, Donna Hayes, and Mike Civic. And I would also move to include Joyce Kearns